Welcome to the FI Investor / Diego Corzo YouTube channel. My name is Diego and I am here to help you achieve financial independence through real estate. Here's where we share tips, tricks on how you can increase the cash flow in your real estate portfolio, or if you're a beginner, how you can buy your first rental property. I bought my first property about 11 years ago in 2013 when I was 23 years old, and I've worked my way up to over 60 doors. So if you're looking to learn on how you can increase your cash flow, how you can get started investing in real estate, you are in the right channel. So if this is you, hit the subscribe button so that you can get updates when we put out some new content so that you don't miss out on anything. So today we are gonna be covering the difference between investing for appreciation and investing for cash flow. This is something that's really important because if you want to achieve financial independence in the future, it's important to know what strategy is gonna be best depending on your timeline. Everybody has different timelines and there's no right or wrong timeline. Some people might want to achieve financial independence in, let's say, the next 20 years, 40 years when they retire. They might love the work that they do and they might be like, you know what? I don't care about cash flow right now per se. I want to just invest and let it all grow until I retire at age 65 because I love what I do at work. That is awesome. Now, there are other people that might say, hey, I want to retire in the next 5 years through some cash flow. I want to get enough cash flow to quit my job and I want to do real estate full time after that, right? It is very important to understand the different types of strategies so that you can know what works best for you and your timeline. That is something that's very important. So let's get started understanding the differences. One thing that is very important to note is that if you are investing for appreciation, more than likely there are markets that will not cash flow as much, if any. And I know some people that are investing for appreciation with negative cash flow. That is definitely a decision that works best for you and their timeline. For example, me being a realtor in Austin, Texas, I have helped people from California buy in Austin because their strategy is to invest for the long term and they know that Texas has appreciated in the past few years, and it will continue to appreciate. So it's very important to note that appreciation can come, and those people that I've helped, for example, have been doctors, attorneys, people that work in tech that are putting the money that they make actively put it into an investment that will give them steady appreciation, that they are okay with it. They are okay with maybe making $0 in cash flow or maybe negative. But for example, their perspective has been, they say, hey, if I buy a $400,000 home and it increases 5% a year, 5%, let's say year one, it increases 5%. If it increases 5% on appreciation, they will have $20,000 in equity. But let's say that after they run their numbers and everything, they're losing $200 a month. From their perspective, it is more important to make a difference from the equity part that they're making and the cash flow, which let's say is $200 a month times 12 is $2,400. So let's say that they are okay losing $2,400 out of their pocket so that when the property increases around 5%, their property increases $20,000. They lost $2,500 that year, but they are still positive $17,500, right? $20,000 minus $2,500. Now that is their perspective. and that is how they choose to invest. So what I want to challenge you is decide where you are right now and what is your timeline for wanting to achieve financial independence and how you want to do it. Because here's the thing, investing for appreciation will not give you that financial independence. It will increase your net worth that then later you can put that equity, you can sell off the properties, and we have a video already on 1031 exchanges and doing cost segregation and everything. But it's really important to understand that appreciation, you cannot eat equity, right? But you can eat from the cash flow. So it's very important to know what your ideal timeline is, what your goals are, so that you can choose to invest for appreciation. In the beginning, personally, I have been investing for cash flow. And then later down the road, later in the years, I've been investing for 11 years now. Now there has been a couple of deals that I've done for appreciation. They may not cash flow as much, but they can appreciate. And then the other strategy is that you can borrow money from the equity that you've been building, that the property has been appreciating. But again, there is no magic ball that will tell you, hey, the market for the next 5 years is going to appreciate 5% every single year. It might go down, it might go up, but in the long scheme of things, real estate usually goes up. So this is one thing that is very important that I want you to consider when investing and choosing the strategy that you want to invest in. So that's appreciation. Oh, and the last thing that I would say for appreciation is people that do invest for appreciation is they're looking at it more as they're parking their money. Some people might buy properties cash. Other people might buy property putting 20-25% down payment, and then they're literally parking their money as their appreciation grows, right? As their equity grows. That is very, very important to know the difference between that side of appreciation. You're seeing it more as you're parking your money and you're letting the market do its thing. The other way that you can invest is cash flow. Investing for cash flow. This means that there is a return on investment, return on your cash on cash return, basically, that gets you a number where you're able to get positive cash flow from the property every single month. Some people call it mailbox money. Some people might get their money just as a direct deposit, but back in the day, before all this bank and technology and everything, it was just it was mailbox money, right? They will get their check every single month. So it's very important to note that when you're investing for cash flow, you have to know the difference, that you make the difference between the PITI, the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. You have to allot for some expenses and the property management fee if you have a property manager, and then you make that difference, right? That will become the cash flow for that property. One might say, hey, and this was my goal. My goal in the beginning when I started investing at age 23 was, how do I get to $3,000 to $5,000 a month as quickly as possible? And I began to invest because I didn't have that much cash. I started investing with the strategy called house hacking, and that allowed me to live for free. I invested, lived for free, reduced my expenses, saved as much as I could, and I repeated the process again, buying more and more properties. But I was always investing for cash flow because I wanted to get to a position where I could quit my job or be in a position where I didn't have to work. I could get to work, right? Having to do something and getting to do something, two complete different things. And you have to remember that having that level where passive income covers all of your monthly expenses, that's when you have achieved financial independence. And that is one of those things that for people, you will get to that cash flow. You have to get to your cash flow number and invest wisely, because it's not going to just come from the appreciation. It's going to be from the cash flow that you're making every single month. So you see it as, the way that I see the cash flow from my properties is, okay, this house hack is going to pay for my living expense. I also had a little bit extra that could cover my car payment. So then property number 2, let's say, I could say, hey, the cash flow from this property is going to pay for some of my food, for example. Property number 3 will pay for my travel. Property number 4 will pay for my insurance and car payments or cell phone payments. And then you're collecting houses that pay for your lifestyle rather than collecting bills. Because a lot of people are just collecting bills. You want to collect houses that pay for your bills. And that cash flow is what gets you that level of financial independence. Now, the key thing here is you want to make sure that you're maintaining. I always say live below your means. This is something that's very, very important. You want to make sure that you're not just spending on your cash flow in the beginning. As you're building, especially if you're still having your full-time job and you get some cash flow, you want to reinvest that money so that it can compound faster. Now, cash flow, for example, as I mentioned earlier, so you have your max rent. Let's say you buy a property. Let's say you do co-living as a strategy and it makes you $3,000 a month gross. Then you do have to take a property management fee. Then let's say your mortgage payment is $1,500. Let's say after you do all this math, now you have $500 a month for that property that you did co-living as a strategy. That property, now that you have your 500, you will be able to count that towards your passive income, and you can decide and see what expenses does that cover for you. One key thing, one metric that I was doing, something that I learned from some of my mentors as well, is the power of becoming 100%er. 100%er means that 100% of your passive income covers 100% of your expenses. So the goal will be, how do you get to 100%er? This is key. It's a quick formula, and it's also, I gamify it. That's just the way how I see things. I try to gamify, and I wanted to, let's say that my monthly expenses are $5,000 for my lifestyle, and I have $1,000 coming in cash flow. If I do 1,000 divided by 5,000 is 0.20. If you times that by 100 to get the percentage, you get 20%. So you're a 20%er. You can use cash flow as a way to get you to the 100%er. And that was my goal, getting to 100%er as quickly as I could in my 20s. And as I started to invest more and more, that's why I invested for cash flow in the beginning, so that I can get to that goal of financial independence, and then invested for appreciation for the long term, because that appreciation can get to compound. Because let's say a property has appreciated, let's say it appreciates 5%, right? Then let's say it's 400,000, right? If the property is 400,000 in year 1, it appreciates 5%, I will now be worth 420. Now in year 2, if it appraises another 5%, now it appraises from the 420, which at that point would be, let's call it an additional $24,000. That $24,000 now gets added, so now the property is worth $444,000. Then you do the 5% from there, and the 5% from there, it begins to compound. And that's why later, for example, now that you've invested for appreciation and you have multiple things that are appreciating 5 or 8% or maybe 3% on a steady market, it can be more, like some of the houses in Austin that went up literally like 20% in a couple of years. You get to capitalize on that appreciation. And then later, as I mentioned, you get to borrow from that equity or sell the property, and then you put it into cash flow. So that's one of the ways of how I am doing it. First, I invested for cash flow, then some appreciation, and then from that appreciation, I'm going to sell and do some investments that put me back into cash flow. That's really, really, really important. But you have to make sure that it works for your game plan, for your goals. So today we covered the difference between appreciation and cash flow and how it works with your particular investment strategy. So what I want you to do is let me know in the comments below, what is the strategy that you're working on this coming year, this next 6 months, for example, or here for the next 5 years, what's going to be your strategy to invest that fits your goals, that fits your timeline. If you have any questions, send me a DM at Real Diego Corzo, or you can schedule a call with me and my team at defyinvestors.com. And we're going to be putting the link here below in the description for our free 99 school community that talks all about real estate investing for passive income to achieve financial independence. If you have any questions, we are here to help, and we will see you in the next video.